You ever just wonder why stuff just can't work? Welcome back to the Lost Cause Ranch, and today we have a good one. We have been working diligently to get our metal fabrication mini machine shop all set up and equipped, and we've been loading it up with some neat stuff. The CNC mill, CNC lathe, we have the laser, we have the CNC plasma, we got welders, we got manual mill, manual lathe, but it's not going to stop there. Today our CNC press brake showed up. Not only can we cut metal, we can bend it. And if you don't know what a CNC press brake is, we will hopefully show you that thing in action here towards the end of the video. But just know that it is going to be crucial in some of the 405 modifications that we have planned. We're going to be pretty self-sufficient around here. It is a freaking busy week here at the ranch for the car wash. More fun stuff. And I suppose we should have bought a bigger place. Seems to be a common problem with me. Yes, I probably should have did that before signing, and I'm not quite sure what that means. Got an accordion. Pop goes the weasel. But we are really rolling some neat stuff in. And it all just seems to be really big and heavy lately. What do we got? It's got a screen. They have this guy pretty efficiently packaged up in there. So let's blow this guy apart. I need to get this assembled tonight because one of these boxes is the rolling stand for that. And that is some 1-inch plate on the sides and up front here. So even though we all know I'm a pretty strong guy, I don't think I'd be able to lift that into place. This thing's like 1,500 pounds, and I imagine the majority of it is right there, but man, it is freaking cool looking. Titan 25T with a crooked sticker. That one's gonna bug me. Oh, that's heavy. Got one of them. What's in the box? More boxes. Just some assembly required. We got a lot of bits. A lot of bits. Man, this is a lot more assembly than I was originally planning. This is our little material support for the front. Hangs those things on there. We haven't even got to the part that's going to be a real mess. And that's all the fancy stuff that goes in the back that makes it go woo, 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 bend it all correct. Some, and that's a heavy sum, assembly required. Also, we got our stand made up. Forklift is gone, and you notice the big heavy thing isn't on the stand. We received 10,000 different pieces, but we did not receive the brackets that mount that to that. We're knocking out a little bit of the stuff. These are pretty slick. Adjustable height and easy width. Well, we're moving along, turning a bunch of little pieces into some bigger assemblies. Got all sorts of stuff going on here. But the good news is we're running out of parts. Bad news is I'm now on the most stressful point of the assembly. Gotta line up the tape measure. Feel like this is critical, but if they're letting me do it, it must not be all that critical. It's like M&M, you only get one shot. Nailed it. I mean, close enough for the camera at least. Some days I'm surprised I'm even allowed to hold tools. You guys see a problem? How about now do you see a problem? Front of the machine. You know, the area where you work from? Back of the machine. That tape measure I put on there. Should that be at the back of the machine? Good news is I stuck the tape measure on the correct side of the tube. I just put the frickin' tube on backwards. Might be a little more useful. That looks much more correct. And our little fingers for the backstop are in the right spot now too. But beans, we lost our forklift before we got a chance to set the brake on the stand there. I'm gonna move on to the electrical side of this project while I mull over how we're gonna lift this 1,300 pound piece, set it onto there, and then when it's on there, set it onto here. In some positive news, Langmuir did 2-day express the missing brackets to me. Stuff happens, and they did right by getting it here quickly. Just unfortunate because I only had the forklift for a week because I really only rented that for the mill. It just timed out that this showed up at the same time. All right, so to get a handle handle on this mess. We need to hop up there. And this is the first time we've been up in the attic in the car wash. A smart person probably would have came up here, looked at it before you bought the building. It's actually not terrible looking up here. I thought there'd be much more of a spaghetti mess going on, but our panel's over here. We got some random wiring along the way. A gas line going over there. I don't even know where that goes to. Oh, it goes to nowhere. That's why. I didn't remember seeing a gas line come through that side. That's because it doesn't. That's nice. It's good to know that we can pull all our pressure washer hoses out of these PVC pipes. You can kind of see they're just run through those. We don't need those anymore. This is actually going to work out pretty well. We got some conduit drops through the ceiling, so we'll be able to just run up and down for a lot of our outlets on that side. Press brake in the lathe, we'll be able to drop through that. That's a conduit drop straight down out of that box. This is gonna work out well. And the building doesn't look like it's gonna fall apart, so that's another positive. So a little bit of an interesting one. I just had to walk with the electrical supplies that I could actually carry by hand because there's a frickin' parade going on. Good thing the house is only 2 blocks away from the car wash, but that's something I didn't have to experience at the old property. We were by Noah. Kinda missed that. Well, I guess in the world of small town parades, this one was pretty decent. We're like an hour into it, still going. And on the walk over, I got myself some candy, so I guess I can't complain too much. Once again, I'm gonna pull a little bit of an audible on how we're going to route the power over there. Digging around in what used to be the power setup for the automatic car wash, or what I believe was the power setup for the automatic car wash. I think we can ditch most of this stuff underneath here because everything coming in and out of it has been cut and is no longer active. So we're just going to run some conduit over to here, put a little junction box on this wall, pound a hole through the concrete block, and hopefully end up somewhere right around here so we can wire the compressor right into the box that we have on this side and then shoot some wires over. That means more than likely we'll just ditch that drop, but I think we'll still go up through the attic to get to this side. The far side's gonna need just a bunch of 110 outlets for everything. Then we'll put probably 3 50 amp 220 plugs for the plasma, TIG, MIG. So we got everything gutted out. I don't know what to do with this guy. I'll probably eventually just pull it off the wall to clean some stuff up back here. Or we could turn it into something cool. Since the toilet's right there, we could just make a toilet paper storage. We're gonna have to find something power hungry to buy because we got this guy sitting not used, and that is just such a waste. But this area's cleaned up. We have a huge hole in the building now. We'll patch that, and we can run our conduit over to get the press brake organ. Everywhere I turn, though, there is something that just needs to be cleaned up. Everything functions fine. It just annoys me when it's not right. I guess this isn't wrong, it's just it just could be better. So we got our new conduit in, and we're gonna load a couple 110 circuits in there as well. So that'll work out well. We'll put a sleeve around the wires to protect them, and they'll pop out here next to the air compressor, and that will tie in just like that. We just need to run some conduit and a couple more boxes along the wall here. Then we get to pull our $500 worth of wires. Ouch. Granted, this is gonna do the rest of the 110 outlets in the shop as well, but that was still a painful purchase. See if I can snake this through. And stuck in the hole over here. It's a little hard from 10 feet away. There we go. Is that straight? You guys didn't warn me, so it's your fault if it's not. And this right here pains me to do. This is what pains me. I would have liked to center it, and I would have had to bore the holes out to fit the 3/4 inch conduit I have, so that's the way it's gonna be. Weird. Don't like that this isn't centered, but I guess that's what we're going to deal with. This is going to be the 220 outlet for the Tormach lathe. The top one will be a couple 110 outlets. And the same thing here, we'll swing this guy into the previous box. Now this will have a little more clearance once we have all the wire pulled and the outlets in. The laser will be able to move back. The nice thing about a cinder block wall is it is easy to keep everything at the right height because you got this constant line going across the entire space. And this one's going to be the same as the other one. 220 for the press brake and a couple 110 outlets up here. That'll feed the laser. Now we just have the fun job of feeding some wire. And what I think I'm going to do is start here, backfeed some wire into the utility room, then measure out what I need and snip it off the roll and feed it the rest of the way. So we're working through here. We got our press brake 220 wiring up for the 110 outlet. Lathe 220. Now I just need to pull one more set of 3 this way for our 110 to support the lathe, and anything else we need to plug in on this side. This side's gonna be a little lighter on the 110 stuff. The opposite side, where the bench and most of the small tools are, will be a little more loaded up. Now, I'm probably not doing this exactly the correct way. It'd be easier to pull all the wires in one shot, I imagine, but this way I'm not wasting as much wire. I got the length down a little more accurate. Plus, you guys know I like to cause myself some extra pain every once in a while. Last one. Finally poke that guy through. I'm sure all you actual electricians are sitting here laughing at me because I'm sure there is much easier ways to handle what I just handled. But hey, it's done. And maybe I like to just suffer for no reason. We're gonna wire up our 110 outlets, close everything up on this side, and this will be good. That, on top of that, is another problem. So I think I got an idea on how to get this up on the stand. It involves that, the ever so useful LR4, although I'm not sure how to get it up there yet, but we need to get a little closer into position. Doing a little parking lot recovery. And since I don't have power or air hooked up yet, and we can't use our CNC plasma, I ran to the little brother shop and chopped these out. Those go here. And for that, we need to take this guy off, which is kind of nifty. It's just a couple magnets. As always, we're doing everything in the most legit way possible here. I don't see how this cannot work. All right, so this is obviously the approved lifting method. LR4 with the winch, well, snatch block, press brake. What could possibly go awry? I think we got most of the weight off it. Make sure all my nuts are tight yet. All right, we're gonna keep a block of wood under there so I don't destroy my arm. We move the stand closer. We're gonna pick the weight up, launch the pallet out of there, and set this guy as quick as possible because it's kind of sketchy. It's a sturdy pallet. We'll just watch our toes. Of course, I don't have those bolts ready. You guys watch your fingers. Oh, really? I didn't even throw it in. And why not? The bolts don't fit. Oh. It's because they're a nut and a bolt. Looks like they're threaded, so I don't know why you would thread it a different size, but I just work here. And not a single person was injured in the process. Probably looked a little sketchier than it actually was. So we re-rigged it a little closer to where it needs to end up, and we're just gonna try and sling it over. It's a nice pallet. That fucking worked out. You know, it never ceases to amaze me how many issues I can run into, even when we buy a brand new frickin' machine. So apparently the HDMI cable for the control screen was no good, because when we swapped it out, we finally got a working screen. This guy was dead the first time we threw power at it, which is never a great feeling. Always love having to tear apart brand new stuff. And it was too late to call Langmuir tonight. So we just spent the last couple hours troubleshooting through stuff, but I guess at least it was something simple. But man, that is some Joe luck going on right there. You know, if we would have just bought a old school non-CNC press brake press, I don't even know what order you say that in, we probably wouldn't have had that issue because it wouldn't have a computer to fail. Well, that right there is a much better sight than we had last night. We got a working screen. We got one of our punches and dies in place and a few little chunks of metal, which means we're gonna see if this thing actually does what it's supposed to do. Now, I already homed the machine on the actual bend part. Let's go over to the back gauge and we'll home that. All that work assembling it paid off. We are ready to create our first bend. So we're in create bend. I got it named test because that's what we are doing. Clear that. Let's grab our punch. We are using a gooseneck 88 degree. 88 gooseneck. And what a gooseneck allows is when you have some tight bends together, this little cutout allows the piece of metal to bend back further. If it's just a straight punch, if we have a bend and a bend, that bend runs into that and it doesn't work. This little relief gives you a tad bit of clearance. There are many different styles of punches and dies. I went ahead and got the full width of the gooseneck in different segments. This is 33 inches total, and our different segments allow this to be versatile, so we can use just what we need and we can leave space if we're bending boxes or pans. And then I went ahead and got 33 inches of a 4-way die, and this allows us to do some thinner sheet metal all the way up to the proper opening for 1/4 inch, which I believe this guy will do 20-ish inches. The 25 in the 25T is 25 tons of pressure, 33 inches of width. On the full width, we're able to do 1/8 inch, which is pretty sturdy for something this size. I believe on 1/4 inch, we're 20-ish inches, and we can do 15 inches of 3/8. It's pretty impressive for this guy. This guy is gonna be super useful, but back to our bend, we got our 88 degree punch. For our die, we are using 4-way without the riser. They sell a little die holder, but I figured that guy was going to be a good first part to make on the Brother CNC, so we'll just do that in-house. So the couple $100 I saved just cost me tens of thousands of dollars to make it. Math checks out. Material type, we are doing hot rolled steel. Desired bend angle, why don't we shoot for 90 degrees, hit OK. 0.25 for thickness. Bend width, we have 2-inch flat bar. And in there, it gives us the calculated tonnage needed. So 2.7 tons to do that. Say we move that to 20 inches. We're at 27 tons. It gives you a warning, but we'll go back to 2 inches. We added a back gauge move and loaded all that in there. All that stuff I was assembling earlier is the back gauge. And what this does is line up where your bend is gonna happen. All right, so we're gonna run our first program. Okay, I don't know what that was. Guess we had a home. Try this again. This is going great. All right, run program. It is frickin' idle. This thing's a pile of shit. All right, home and machine. How is that possible? I'm not even bending anything. Well, that's even better. All right, we're going to home machine. Home it. It's homing. We're working fine. All right. Yes. All right, so now we have to, and it freaking faulted out again. I didn't even jog move. Home. Yes. We're homing. I just want to bend something. I just want to try it. All right, run program. We set that somewhere into place, and these 2 arms are our safety button. This keeps your hands out of the way so you don't pinch stuff, and it's going to get it close to the material. And once we have that, we don't need it. I don't know why the back gauge isn't doing anything. So back gauge. We're just going to do it without the back gauge first because I just want to try something. So we'll, it frickin' fucked up again. What is going on? All right, we're gonna restart the system. We're gonna do nothing. We're gonna throw this thing off a frickin' cliff. I can't clamp the material because you won't let me because it's frickin' not working. All right, restart. We're gonna do a full restart. Have you tried turning it off and back on again? You ever just wonder why stuff just can't work? Why does everything always have to be so difficult? I mean, so far this couldn't be going any better, right? All right, now we're gonna have to home the back gauge. How's your guys' day going? Let's try this again. See, the back gauge moves into place. Then we can set our steel right up there, and that's gonna locate it. Move down to the clamp position. Does give you a live readout. Right now we're 0.2 tons. So that's good. I think we can bump the speed, but we'll deal with that later. Let's just make sure this thing works. Now we just need to clamp it. And then it's gonna bend it. That's pretty slick. It's gonna move out of the way. Program completed. Okay, let's see where we're at. All right. As suspected, we are a little underbent, but that's not a big deal. All we got to do there is measure what this is bent at. So we are at 94.6 degrees. So we're 4.6 degrees underbent. Nice thing is, we can go right in here, edit, switch that to underbent, and go 4.6. Okay. Save that. And it should do all the calculations. So what we'll do is run it again. It's gonna move into place. We'll try with a fresh piece. And being we're already down in the clamp position, all we have to do is hit the pedal. And that right there looks pretty freaking close to 90. And we are 89.8 degrees and a pretty nice, tight, clean bend at that. Sure beats torch, hammer, vise, and all the other ways you could go about doing this. But where this thing is really gonna shine is, say you have a piece, say like a winch plate for a Range Rover? Yeah, maybe something like that. But something that has multiple different bends, different widths. We can go in and create its own program. So out of our list of bends, we can keep adding them to the program. So say we have 3 different bends needed to make that winch plate. We could do one at 90 degrees, next one at 45 degrees at a different length, whatever we need at the end. And what it will do is it'll work its way through each of those. So first bend, then it will move the back gauge to where it needs to be for the next one, bend it at the correct degrees, and so on and so forth. And we can do that probably as many times as we need, I'm guessing. But that is gonna let us create some cool stuff and be able to repeat it, which might be good for, you know, future things. The fab side is really starting to take shape now, and we definitely have some cool toys to play with. Press brake is gonna be awesome when we couple it with CNC plasma. The underneath of that 405 needs some protection, and I think this is a good place to start. We got our sheet metal brake in place, laser in place, and would you believe it? The lathe is all hooked up and ready to rock and roll. Now that we got everything sitting, I just need to go ahead and order some tooling. Next up, wire this guy and get this side wired up, cleaned up, and we're ready to rock and frickin' roll in here. Having a setup like this has been a goal for a long time, and we have hit it. And this little section of the car wash is where I'm gonna be happily spending a lot of my time anymore. But we haven't necessarily been neglecting the other side either. We've been making room in the work bay and starting to get everything organized over here. It is so much freaking room here. With that being said, appreciate you guys watching, appreciate you subscribing. Time for me to do a little maintenance on the Loner Defender so we can go get our Freelander picked up. I kind of miss it. And the title just showed up for this guy, so I think we'll go get this registered, and that will be the Mighty Freelander's ride home.